Well, we've got a special edition of Our History, Our Heritage on Congleton Radio today, haven't we, Anna?
We have indeed.
And who have we got with us?
My name is David Wilson. I'm a member of the Seal Knot, the Earl of Manchester Regiment of foot in the Seal Knot.
Yeah. Now, these fellas are not dressed up for just nothing. They're bringing history to life at Congleton Museum. Now, can you explain what you do?
Yeah, well, we're part of a reenactment society. What we do is we reenact battles, but we also do living history, and we do events such as this, where we turn up at museums and explain a little bit about the history, a bit about life during the Civil War, and something also about the arms that we use during the reenactments.
Now, obviously on Congleton Radio, we've got our brilliant history presenter and my fellow host on this show, Anna, and I'm going to hand over to you, Anna, because I know that you're going to ask better questions than I will on this.
Maybe. So the reason that we've put on this show and tell event today is because we wanted to do something with the Sealed Knot and their reenactment society. They're amazing at what they do. Really go check them out on social media once you watch this as well. But we wanted to do something a bit extra special as well. So we hired these wonderful reenactors to come, and they brought with them lots of objects which are actually on this table behind me. We've got some real cannonballs as well, and we also have on display a cannonball from Biddulph Hall. Now, Biddulph Hall was sieged in 1644, and that's when the cannonball is from, and it's actually stuck inside a stone. It's 2.5 inches in diameter, and it's really heavy. So we thought this is the perfect time to put on display that amazing object that hasn't been on display in over a decade. Put it on display today when we've got the Sealed Knot here as well doing this show and tell event, and it's just been amazing. It's a fully interactive day for all ages, and you can really get some hands-on with the objects as well and hear all about different battle strategies and stuff with these guys.
And we've also got the Mayor with us, Rob Cannonball Moreton. But Anna, I'm going to hand over to you, the microphone now. You can go round and you're going to ask these fellas some questions, aren't you?
Okay, so can you tell us what would your position be in a battle, for example? Who are you? What would you do? And talk about your weapon as well.
Yeah, okay, so I'm dressed as an officer. You can tell I'm an officer because I've got a sash. I'm a parliamentarian officer, and you can tell that because I'm wearing an orange or tawny sash. A royalist would wear a red one. I'm also dressed like a Puritan, which also shows that I'm on the parliamentarian side. Normally, I wouldn't be carrying a musket. I'm just carrying a musket at the moment to explain what a musketeer would do. But normally, I would be in charge of the men around me. So we've got musketeers here. We've got pikemen here as well. Those are the two main arm-carrying soldiers.
Amazing. So you mentioned some pikemen behind you. Can we just get those in the shot as well? So can you just tell us as well? So the weapon that they're holding here. So this is. Am I right in saying so? This is a prop that they've got right now. Can you explain a little bit about the real weapon, what it would look like, how heavy it was, for example?
Okay, so normally a pikeman would carry a very, very large, long, pointed stick called a pike, effectively about 12, 14 foot long. This isn't a pike. That's actually a halberd, which it would normally be used by an officer. So I would be carrying one of those today, and pikes were used really to protect musketeers against cavalry. So you can imagine a horse would charge at a guy with a musket. He wouldn't stop, but horses aren't daft. They won't charge against a guy with a big long stick, pointed stick. So that's what the pikemen were for.
Amazing. Do you think we could maybe get to see that movement of how they would hold the pike towards the cavalry, towards the horses? Yeah.
David, perhaps you can show us.
So do you just want to explain what he's doing again here now?
So he's doing what's called a charge for horse position here. So what would happen is that the pikemen would form a circle around the musketeers to try to protect them. So if I was here with a musket and I wanted to be protected, I'd get down underneath the pike. So I'll go down here with my musket. and so then a horse wouldn't be able to get to it. Obviously, normally the pike would be twice as long as this, so there'd be much more room for me to get under. So that would protect me, and then I could perhaps shoot at the horseman from underneath from where the pike is.
Amazing. So, do you know how successful that manoeuvre would be? Would you manage to, kill a lot of people doing that manoeuvre, or were there other battle strategies, like the cannons and so on?
Oh, there's many different strategies used on the battlefield. Yeah, so.
Perfect. Okay, I'll pass you back to Stuart.
Right, now, so it's a tag match this. Now we're going to go on, and can somebody tell us, is it, or this gentleman here, now, could you tell us Cheshire's part in the Civil War? Did they cause it?
Cheshire didn't cause it. The cause was in Parliament when Parliament, the elected MPs, were determined to restrict the power of King Charles I to raise taxes for wars that they felt were unjust.
Yeah.
So the King eventually, after 3 or 4 years of engagement, raised his standard at Nottingham and declared war effectively against the rest of his people. So at that stage, everyone, or most people then stated whether they supported Parliament or Royalists. There were quite a few who were undecided. And slowly over time, arms were taken up, skirmishes started. One of the earliest ones was in Manchester, and the first probably pitched battle was actually in Manchester, where the Earl of Derby was trying to seize gunpowder from the parliamentarians who controlled Manchester. After that, the war escalated, but it was primarily a series of skirmishes, not that many very large pitched battles. And often it was one hall was owned by someone with Royalist sympathies, the next one along was a parliamentarian sympathiser. And so much of what happened was small in scale. Cheshire was interesting because it had a combination of Royalist and parliamentary areas. And so Chester was heavily Royalist, Nantwich was parliamentarian, Congleton started off as parliamentarian, but was then attacked and taken by the Royalists. But after the Battle of Nantwich, Parliament came in and took Congleton back. So that was typical of the way that towns changed hands during the war. And there were in fact 3 wars that lasted from 1642 through to 1651. And
Do you know what side Northwich and Winsford were on? Because they're always falling out still.
Northwich, I think, was parliamentarian, and I'm not sure Winsford really existed in the 17th century. It's a modern town, isn't it? So if it was a village, possibly a small Royalist enclave. But Cheshire was very evenly divided and was actually the fulcrum to a lot of the war, and in particular Chester, because it was a major port, was seen as the gateway to Wales and Ireland, because while we call it the English Civil War, it did actually cover the whole of the UK. And England lost about 10% of its population, Wales about 10% of its population, 20% of the Scots died and 30% of the Irish. So proportionally, it was the most bloody war this country's ever fought.
It's hard to believe, isn't it, that we actually had a civil war in a way. We always think about these things happening in other countries. I know it's a long time ago, but it's hard to get your head round sometimes.
There's a lot that we see today that comes out of the Civil War, but I must admit, one of the reasons I'm so keen on reenacting it is it does appear to be a significant period of British history that is underrepresented, is not well known, and yet it was so significant in creating a parliamentary democracy. So it affected everyone in the country, at whatever level, and is different from the wars before when there was an army went and fought another army. This was about a population fighting another population.
Like you say, I mean, there's tons of World War II films and stuff like that. How many Civil War films is there? I can't think of any offhand.
There are a few. They're not very good. There was one Cromwell with Richard Harris playing Cromwell. There's a variety of others, but they're not that very well known. I have to say I've appeared in a film that started off in the English Civil War called Crucible of the Vampire, but I wouldn't bother watching more than the first 5 minutes.
What was that? Crucible of the Vampire?
Crucible of the Vampire, and it's a low-budget film. The star was Neil Morrissey. So after 5 minutes of English Civil War, it suddenly reverts to the 21st century with Neil Morrissey chasing scantily clad ladies around the stately home. So probably not worth putting that on.
Well, I know what I'm watching tonight anyway. So, but like you say, this is a real passion of yours, isn't it?
Yes, it's enjoyable. I probably didn't play soldiers much as a child, but when I retired, my son was interested in history, particularly the Civil War. We started driving around to events for him to participate, slowly got sucked into doing it, and now it's great fun. It's, on the battlefield, you're going on, and as a musketeer, I am making very loud noises and lots of smoke. You're engaging with up to 1,300 other people when you've got cannon, which are very, very loud. You've got cavalry, big horses, and it's a very sociable organisation and activity as well.
Sounds a big brawl, that does. Where can people find out more about it? Can they go on Facebook, things like that?
I have brought some information sheets over there which haven't printed off too well, but for us, the Earl of Manchester's Regiment of Foot, which is one of the main largest regiments in the Seal Knot, then go on https earlofmanchesters.org.uk or our Facebook page, Earl of Manchester's.
There's something that you could get out about the Civil War, something that people don't know enough about. What would it be?
Right. Well, I think the main thing is the impact on the next history of the UK and the lasting impact. We have a parliament that works today, if people call it that, but as a result of the Civil War. Because prior to that, the king felt that he was God's appointee on earth, and he had all the powers in the world to rule his subjects how he wanted. And the English Civil War was the start of a recognition that individuals in this country had rights, and changed us for the better and created a parliamentary democracy.
Well, that's brilliant. Thanks for getting that across. Thanks for talking to Congleton Radio and spending the time with us. Now, if we go across here, I think we've got a Civil War relic here. He's come to see this event. The Mayor, Rob Cannonball Moreton himself. How are you, Rob?
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, you're loving this event, aren't you?
It's brilliant, yeah.
So, I think with that, Rob can close out this show today, can't you, Rob? Do you want to say a few words?
Yes, thank you for the invite, and it's fantastic to be showcasing Congleton's Museum. If you've not been, come and visit it, because it's an absolutely fantastic venue.
Yeah, wise words, and it's goodbye from Anna as well, isn't it, Anna?
Yes, it's been an amazing day. I want to say thank you to everybody who has come and spent a couple of hours with us, seen the cannonball, talked to the soldiers, had a go at all these amazing things. It's been an absolutely wonderful day, so thank you.
So keep tuned in to Congleton Radio and make sure you come to Congleton Museum, bringing history to life.